so many of Pep Guardiola's signings have taken a year to adapt. He's still in his first year. I mean, look at Grealish. Look at the second season he had. Went on to be a treble winner.
Sorry to interrupt there, Chris, but I think sometimes you've got to... I said this at the time. As a player, you've got to think about when you go to a football club. What is... I think... And look at how many starts Grealish has had this season, right? Grealish has gone now and he's won a Premier League, right? But he's not a Man City type of player for me. Grealish likes to pick the ball up and run with the ball. City don't play that way. City don't play that way. So I think if Grealish goes, say for instance now, if Grealish went to a Spurs, I think he'd...
But at the same time, I think it's being a bit unfair on him because he was integral to particularly in Europe, where he played in all the European games.
Do you know
his ability to control the game, the tempo?
Well, I'll tell you what happened is when Haaland came and the game got stretched, and only when De Bruyne plays the ball, because nobody else does it in the City seat. So then he has the ability then to run with the ball because the games get stretched. But you've seen in the recent games when Haaland's been out and it's been nice and tight, it doesn't suit him to, you know, and Pep doesn't want him to do it. Pep doesn't want him to pick up the ball and run. He's got rid of Sterling. He didn't, you know, because Sterling wants to pick up the ball and run with him. They don't play that way. So I think, you know, I think Grealish is a fantastic football player, but to get the best out of him, he has to be allowed to do the best. So when you're a player and you're looking at going to a football club, you have to look at whether that football club is going to get the best out of you. But
surely it's about what else he brings to the table apart from stats and numbers of goals and assists, because he's controlling the tempo for Pep on the pitch. More so than Doku does on the left.
Well, you're saying that, but he's not been prevalent this season.
He hasn't, because he's also been injured. I mean, he's injured today, for example.
Yeah, but he's also spent a lot of time on the bench.
He has.
He's not been first choice this season.
But is he a treble winner?
Yeah, of course he's a treble winner. I'm not denying that, right? And I thought last season he did well. And I said to you, when Haaland come to the team, I think that enabled him to play more of his natural game. When Haaland's been out and he's come into the side, it restricts him a little bit because he likes to, you know, run with the football. And that's, again, choosing where you want to... You know, as a player, you look at a club and you think, right, can I go to that football club and get the best out of myself? Because all you're doing is when you go to a football club, is the reason why that football club has bought you is because what you have. You can develop more,
yes,
but they bought you for what you have.
My initial point, though, wasn't about Grealish this season. It was about players taking a year to adapt, and Grealish was one example. His second year, he went on to get the treble. This was in reference to Doku as well. And he's not the first. Look at Bernardo Silva, even Sergio Aguero, when he just gave an interview talking about Pep first arriving, and he struggled. Didn't understand what Pep wanted. But by the time he left, he was a better player.
I think the same happened with Pep when he went to Bayern Munich, because they wanted the Champions League. They were winning the league. They were going to win the league. They wanted the Champions League, but they never got the Champions League in his 3 years. But I remember the first season, I think it was Ian Robin was saying the same thing. I couldn't grasp all the information that was being fed because the way Pep is with his details. He said, we won the league. He said, I think it was Ian Robin. He said he struggled a bit to take all the information on board.
Aguero said the same thing. Nathan Ake was another example of a player playing today who's took about a year to adapt to Pep Guardiola.
I think with Jack Grealish, I think he's the type of player that probably functions at his best when he's given the freedom. I think that's what Carlton's saying. He said, go on, we know you can go and do something special with not so much structure attached to him. That's when we saw him at his best for Aston Villa. Last season, we saw him playing some great games for Man City, but sometimes because he wants to have maybe 3 or 4 touches, where Pep likes you to have 1 or 2 touches. It's because he says the ball moves quicker than any player, which is true. Jack Grealish is a dribbler. Like, Doku's a dribbler, but if I'm Haaland, I don't know when Doku's going to put the ball in the box, because he checks back so many times. Sometimes the learning curve for Doku is get the ball and cross it around the fullback. You don't even have to run past him sometimes. But now the fullbacks are going, well, I know you're going to try and run me on the outside. So today was a classic example. Every time outside, and nothing came of it.